Hello again, everyone. Mr. Reeves with you one more time. And today we are looking at lesson 1.4 in the Math 7 book, starting on page 25, applying addition and subtraction of integers. So we have learned about adding integers, both when the signs are the same and when the signs are different. And we have learned about subtraction of integers. And today we're going to look at some applications. All right, so let's go ahead and dive right in. How about literally talking about a seal? Here's an example here. And one of the things I want to make sure I do in this video is go over some of the vocabulary because some of it may not be familiar to you. Maybe you've never gone sea diving. Maybe you've never done any banking. Maybe you've never played football. Okay, some of these things that the book takes for granted that you know, I want to make sure you that you do know for this. Otherwise, you won't be able to do these problems. So it says a seal is swimming in the ocean 5 feet below sea level. It dives down 12 feet to catch some fish. Then the seal swims up 8 feet toward the surface with its catch. What is the seal's final elevation? Okay, so you're going to see a lot of problems that are very similar to this. So let's talk about below sea level. All right, so right here is sea level. That is the level of the water, right? The level of the water, and that is at 0 on the number line, okay? So that's elevation 0. Anything here in the positives would be above sea level, right? And anything down here is below sea level. Below sea level, okay? So most of these problems have a diver or a swimmer, or in this case, a seal starting below sea level, right? So that means it's going to be in the negatives, okay? So you see right here, it starts 5 feet below sea level, and that is our -5, okay? Then it swims down. It goes down from there. So it's right here, and then it goes down. It goes down that much. So let me get an arrow here. Nope, that's not an arrow, Mr. Reeves. Let me get an arrow. Let me ditch those. All right. And then he goes, I'll use blue. Then he goes down, right? So it actually was, it already was down 5. That was our -5. Then it goes down 12. And then, all right, then the seal swims 8 feet up. It catches some fish. Look at the size of the fish compared to the size of the seal. That is a really big fish or a really small seal. All right, then it goes up 8. And so when you're going up, that's a positive. So this is the problem. We get -5 minus 12 plus 8. So they're having us, when we go down, subtract a positive, and when we go up, add a positive. All right, so a good idea is to take every subtraction problem and change it to adding the opposite. So that's what I'm going to model in these problems. Subtracting 12 is the same as adding -12 plus 8. Okay? All right, so when we look at these together, I've got 5 negatives plus 12 negatives plus 8 negatives. Now, as I mentioned before, we can add these in any order that we want to. All right, they did this in the book, so let's just go ahead and take a look. And we get 17 negatives, right? They didn't show that here. Again, I'm going to put plus -12. All right, and -5 plus -12, that's where we get the -17. And then we have -17 plus 8. And remember, when you have a positive and a negative, you have to ask yourself, which one do I have more of? Do I have more negatives or more positives? I have more negatives, which means it has the greater absolute value. And then how many more do I have? I do 17 minus 8, and 17 minus 8 is 9. So the seal's final elevation, because it's negative, is 9 feet below sea level. If it had turned out to be positive, it would be above sea level. Okay? All right, so let's look at this example right here. Anna is in a cave 40 feet below the cave entrance. So you see that word below? That's an indication that we're going to be negative. Okay? Then she descends. Descend means to go down. To go down. Okay? Down. You need to know that. Let me try that again. To descend means to go down. Okay? Ascend is not in this problem, but it might be in another problem. Ascend means, sorry guys, ascend means to go up. So when you see the word ascend, it means you're going up. When you see the word descend, it means you're going down. Okay? All right, and then here it is. Wow, look at that. Ascend is going up. Okay? Find her new position relative to the cave entrance. So again, if we were to look at this, the cave entrance would be 0. Okay? That is the cave entrance. And then what is she doing? She is 40 feet below. So she is down 40. Okay? So she's down 40. So that's a negative 40 because she's down. All right. Then she descends 13 more. All right. So then she goes down 13 more. Okay. And then what does she do? Then she ascends 18. Okay. Then she goes up 18. So the question is, where does she end up? Where does she end up here? So when I come across here to there, okay, what is this value right here? What is that height? That's what we're trying to figure out. Okay, so here's our math problem. So we're going to start with what? We're going to start with a negative 40. And because she descends, we're going to subtract that distance, 13. And then because she ascends, we're going to add 18. Okay? Okay, then we're going to take this problem and we are going to say that subtracting a positive is the same as adding a negative, because going down you can subtract a positive or you can add a negative, right? And then going up, we could change it to subtracting a negative, but we don't. Okay, we get 18. All right, so now what am I going to do? Now I'm going to put these two together, okay, and 40 negatives plus 30 negatives, that's going to give me negative 57 plus 18, okay? Then I'm going to ask myself, what do I have more of? Do I have more negatives or more positives? I have more negatives. How many more do I have? Well, that's where I have to subtract. So I go 57 minus 18. I'm going to have to borrow, right? 17 minus 8 is 9. This is now a 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. And I get a negative 39. Now, that's not the answer. It says find her new position relative to the cave entrance. So the answer is 39 feet what? Above? No. Below the cave entrance. Okay? Below the cave entrance. So these ones are a little bit more tricky than the ones that we have been doing. Okay? Alrighty, so let's go over to the next page, applying properties to solve problems. Okay, the next one. Irene has a checking account. On Monday, she writes a $160 check. Then she deposits $125. Finally, she writes another check for $40. All right, so back in the day of your grandparents, we used to use these things called checks. All right, and a check was simply a piece of paper that you wrote down how much money you were paying, and then that whoever you paid, like the grocery store, would turn your check into the bank, and the bank would give them money for your check. So when you wrote a check, you were spending money. That means the money was leaving your account. Okay, so now you would use a debit card or a credit card or maybe an app on your phone like Venmo or PayPal or something, right? Okay, but the point is when you write a check, that means that your money is going down. That is spending, okay? So writing a check is spending, it's going down. Then we have this thing called a deposit. So you used to actually go to a bank and you would deposit money, and they'd have this nice person, a teller there, and you could give them money and they'd put it in your account. You could still do that, guys. I'm just being silly here. You could still write checks too. All right. Depositing, though, means to put money in. Okay, so you get that paycheck and you go to the ATM and you deposit your check, right? Or if you have that Venmo account or your PayPal account, you add money to your account. Okay, so that's putting money in. So deposit is going to go up. Okay, so writing a check goes down, depositing goes up. Here's another writing another check, so that is going to go down. Okay, remember, when we write a check or spend money, that's going to be a negative. Or subtraction rather, when we deposit is going to go up. So if you take a look right down here, here we go. She wrote a check for 160. There is our negative 160 going down. All right. She deposits 125. There's our plus 125 going up. And then another check is going down 40. All right, notice they already wrote it as adding a negative 40. They could have written it as minus 40. And then to do this problem, now the thing is you can add in any order you want to. That's why they used addition, because there's something called the commutative property. You guys see it right here? The commutative property says, wow, everything's going blue. There we go. The commutative property says you could switch the order around that you add things in. Well, what's nice about these two things is they add up to negative 200. So even though I could add these in any order I want to, if I'm doing this without a calculator, which I should be, that gives me negative 200 plus a positive 125. Then I say, what do I have more of? I have more negatives. How many more negatives do I have? Well, if I subtract, if I go 200, take away 125, what do I get? I get 75. Okay, and again, that's not the answer to the question. The answer is not negative 75. The question was, all right, what is the end relationship, or what is the end result? And the result is the amount in the account decreased by $75. So make sure when you do these problems, you're actually answering their question. Don't just give a number answer. Most of these are not going to be a number answer. It's going to be a statement that includes that number. Okay, so here we go. So Alex wrote checks on Tuesday for $35 and $45. What was he doing? He was writing checks, so the amount of money was going down. Okay, he also made a deposit. That means the amount was going up. Find the overall change in the amount. So we're going to find, this is what they're asking us to find. Find the overall change in the amount. So here we go. All right, so when he wrote that check, it was minus $35. Then he wrote another check, and it was minus $45. Then he added money to his checking account, and it was plus $180, okay? So I'm going to change this subtraction, negative 35. I'm going to change subtracting a positive to adding a negative. Subtracting a positive is the same as adding a negative. Okay, when I put these two together, negative 35 plus negative 45, that's going to give me negative 80. Okay, negative 80 plus 180. That's really nice, isn't it? 80 and 80. It's going to make our math easier here. And then I ask myself, okay, what do I have more of? Do I have more positives or more negatives? The answer is I have more positives. And then how many more positives do I have? Well, the math is really easy on this one. 180 minus 80 is 100. So remember, the answer is not 100. It says find the overall change, and it's positive. So what does that mean? That means the amount of his money went up, right? So the amount of money in his account, again, because it was positive, what happened? It increased by $100. It increased by $100. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. All right. Okay, so then there are some problems where they want you to compare different compare some different values and see, are they greater, are they less than, or are they equal? So real quick, I just want to do a quick review. They take for granted that you know these symbols. There's that one, there's that one, and there's that one. All right, this symbol means is greater than, okay? Is greater than. This symbol means is less than. And of course, you guys know this one means is equal to. Okay? So for the greater than, the bigger one comes first. See, the bigger the open part comes first. The less than, the bigger part comes second. The first one is smaller. All right, the mouth, as people always talk about, an alligator mouth or something like that, it always opens towards the bigger one. All right, which never made sense to me, because how does the smaller one eat the bigger one? I don't know. But the opening always goes towards the bigger one. Okay, so they're going to ask you to compare some values. And I'm just going to go straight to the one that we have here. All right, Jim and Carla. Actually, I should talk about football real quick, because I think they do some football examples. I'm not sure what just happened there. I accidentally went to a video. Hey, it's Dr. Berger. Dr. Berger, this is my video. Stop trying to get in. Look at that guy trying to get in on my video. He is just sad because I am stealing the show. Okay, so here we go. I'm not going to work through this whole problem, but I just want to make sure you understand. Gaining yards means it's going up. Okay, losing yards means it's going down. Okay, so gaining yards goes up, losing yards goes down. Gaining yards, we're going to be adding a positive. Losing yards, we're going to be subtracting a positive if you come across a problem like that. Okay, so here we go. Jim and Carla are scuba diving. Jim started out 10 feet below the surface. He descended 18 feet, rose 5 feet, and descended 12 more feet. Okay, so we have Jim here. Okay, so we have Jim. Jim started out 10 feet below, so he's at negative 10. Okay, he descended 18, so we're going to go down 18. He rose 5 feet, so we're going to go plus 5, and then he descends 12 more feet. That's Jim, okay? And then over here, I'm going to do Carla. Carla started at the surface. That's 0, okay? At the surface, that is sea level. Surface equals 0. She descended 20 feet, so I'm going to subtract 20. She rose 5 feet. Rising means you're going up, right? She rose 5 feet. And then she descended 18 feet, so minus 18. All right? Okay, which person is at a greater depth? So this is the question that we are trying to answer. Make sure you always know the question you are trying to answer. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to plus a negative 18 plus 5 plus negative 12. All right, subtracting a positive is the same as adding a negative. And over here, I'm going to do the same thing. 0 plus negative 20 plus 5 plus negative 18. Subtracting a positive is the same as adding a negative. All right, now I can add these in any order that I want to. All right, if I use the commutative property, I could put negative 18 plus negative 12, and I happen to know that that equals negative 30 plus negative 10 is negative 40. So when I put the green ones together, I get negative 40, and this poor little 5 is all by himself. Okay, so what does this mean? Jim went down a total of 40, and he went up a total of 5. What do I have more of? I have more negatives. How many more negatives do I have? 35 more negatives. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that Jim is 35 feet below the surface. All right, below the surface. And again, surface is 0. That is sea level. All right, let's take a look at Carla. Well, Carla started at sea level. That's a 0. Let's see what I could do here. I could put these negatives together, and I get negative 38 plus a positive 5. What do I have more of? I have more negatives. How many more negatives do I have? Well, if I do 38 take away 5, I get 33. Okay, so what does that mean? That means Carla is 33 feet below sea level. Well, they are very close in depth below. Oh, they didn't call it sea level. They called it the surface. Okay. All right, so what did they ask us? What did they ask us in the question? The question says, which person rested at a greater depth? And the answer is Jim rested. What did he rest? 2 feet below Carla. Okay? So Jim is at the greater depth. That is the answer that we were looking for. Okay, a lot of work on that one to get to the final answer. All right, guys, I know this has been a really long video, but I do want to work through a few of these problems just to make sure that we can get through this lesson successfully. So when you have series of numbers you are adding and subtracting, what you want to do is change everything to addition. And then once you've got it with addition, you can add in any order you want to. So this one is all addition, so we're good. This one I would change to 50 plus a negative 42 plus 10. 50 plus a negative 42 plus 10. This one I would change to 65 plus 43 plus negative 11, right? This one's going to be 9 plus negative 4 plus negative 17, and so on, okay? And then once you have addition, you can add them in any order you want to, whatever's easiest for you. All right, for this one right here, 50 plus 10 is 60, right? So this one's going to become 60 plus negative 42. And then I could figure out that what do I have more of? I have more positives. How many more positives do I have? That one I didn't have room, so I'm going to write my answer over here and circle it. All right, this one right here, if I put 65 together with 43, those are my positives. That's going to be what? 108, right? 108 plus negative 11. Okay, what do I have more of? I have more positives. And 108 minus 11, let's see, 108 minus 8 would be 100. Take away 3 more, that's going to be 97, and so on. Okay? And then these ones right here, which has a greater value? Which has a greater value? Again, I'm going to make this plus a negative right here. I'm going to make this plus a negative. Okay, then I can add them in any order I want to. 12 negatives plus 4 negatives right here, right? What do I get? I get negative 16 plus 6. What do I have more of? I have more negatives. How many more negatives do I have? I have 10, so this one equals negative 10. This one right here, I'm going to put these two together, and I'm going to get negative 37 plus 39. What do I have more of? I have more positives. How many more positives do I have? I have 2, right? So the first one is less. So negative 10 is less than 2. All right, so which one has a greater value? Negative 12 plus 6 minus 4 is greater than negative 34 minus 3 plus 39. Again, this symbol right here means greater. This symbol right here means less. Okay? Wait a second. Excuse me, I just did that backwards, didn't I? Why did I switch that up? I just switched that up so I could show you. But the first one is less, than the second one. Negative 10 is smaller than 2. Even though negative 10 has a greater absolute value, all negatives are smaller than big numbers. Okay? All right, well, I hope, guys, this was helpful to you. Make sure when you guys are working in the online book, I just want to bring this up real quick, that if you get stuck, take advantage of viewing an example. It will work through. You could try another, or you can work through it step by step. Always try another, though, after you get to see how to do the problem, because if you want credit for that problem and getting it right, if you want that little green, you know, when you get it right, you get a little green check mark up here, right? If you want that little green check mark, make sure you always try another after you view example or step by step. You need to try another so you can get that credit. And then it's not showing here, but down here there'll be an orange button that tells you to turn it in. All right, I hope this video helped you. I know it was kind of long, but I had a lot to show you, and these problems can be a little tricky. So again, ask for help if you need it. I'm always here to help you out. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.